longer with rock bass and chub and— "Jasper!" Dad's big voice was just like a finger being poked into a great big beautiful soap bubble. It burst my dream all to nothing, and when Dad called me Jasper instead of Bill, I knew he didn't like what I was doing. I set the bait can down in the deep furrow and answered innocently, "What?" "What are you up to?" he demanded roughly. He had the horse's reins slipped around his shoulders, and his hands were gripping the plow handles real tight. I could tell, 'cause his sleeves were rolled up and the muscles on his arms were like great big ropes. My dad was awful strong, or maybe I should say very strong. My folks are having a hard time teaching me to use the right words. It's awful hard to quit using the wrong ones, you know. I didn't know what to say to my dad, so I just called back indifferently, "Nothing," and picked up a clod of dirt to throw at a blackbird that was gobbling up some of the worms I'd missed. "Come here," Dad said, "and bring that can of worms with you." My heart went flop. I couldn't fool Dad in anything, and I knew better than to try. But I could see the whole day being spoiled. Just think of all those fish swimming around on the bottom of the creek, hungry for nice, wriggling worms. And just think of how Dad liked to eat fish when they were all cleaned and rolled in cornmeal and fried crisp and brown the way Mom can fry 'em. I decided to remind him how good fish would taste for supper that night. I picked up the can and walked across the garden to where he was waiting. Dad could always read my mind just like I could read a book. I was in the 5th grade in school, you know. He had turned around and was sitting on the crosspiece between the plow handles. His big brownish-red eyebrows were down, and I stood there holding the can of worms in both hands. The horses were so hot that white lather was all over 'em. They'd been sweating so much there was lather where the harness rubbed their sides, and you could smell the sweat. Sweat was trickling down Dad's face, too. I guess there never had been a hotter spring day. Little heat waves were dancing all over the garden. I kept looking down at my toes, which were digging themselves into the cool, newly turned earth, and Dad kept glaring at my can of worms. I hadn't really done anything wrong, hadn't exactly planned or even thought anything wrong, except maybe I was wishing I didn't have to rake the yard and was hating rakes, hoes, garden making, and all the work. I guess you'd call it being lazy. Maybe it was. "Well?" Dad demanded. Then I saw his snow-white teeth gleaming under his red-brown mustache and the twinkle in his eye. It was like a cool dive into Sugar Creek on a smothering hot day. Whenever I saw Dad's teeth shining under his mustache, I knew everything was all right. "Bill Collins," he said, and I felt better than ever, even though his voice was still gruff. "I want you to take that garden rake, clean it off, and put it away in the tool house. Then get your long cane fishing pole and go down to the river, you and Roy Gilbert or some of the boys, and fish and wade in the branch until you get over that terrible case of spring fever. And don't come back until you've caught all the fish that'll bite. You've had a hard school year with your arithmetic, geography, and science, and you need a rest." Well, at first, I couldn't believe he meant it. But when he reached out, put his arm around my shoulder, gave me a half hug, and said, "I was a boy once, too," I believed him without trying. You should have seen me carry that long cane fishing pole in one hand and the can of worms in the other, running straight toward the river where I knew Roy'd be waiting for me. For the night before, we'd laid our plans to meet there at 2 o'clock if we could. But I never dreamed so many things could happen all in one day, or that before I'd get back home again, Roy and I would have been scared almost to death, or that this was going to be the beginning of the most exciting week of my whole life. Chapter 2. It happened this way. Roy and I were lying there in the grass on the bank of the creek, just as I told you we would. Our fishing poles reached far out over the water, and funny-looking, enormous-eyed, four-winged dragonflies nosed around the lines like hummingbirds around Mom's morning glories. All of a sudden, my bobber, which was nothing more than a big cork out of Mom's vinegar jug, started acting as if it was alive. It moved around in a funny little half circle, kind of slow at first, and then